Hello, my most amazing artists. Allow me to introduce you to one of my very favorite Instagram pages and artists. This is called Tiny Art Show. You might be noticing a pattern here that all of the art that is made by this artist, or team of artists, I should say, is super tiny. This team of artists makes art that you have to look really close up at to understand and really see how much work they put in to making this tiny art. They even have art shows where they provide magnifying glasses for the people who are at the art shows to look through so they can really see all of the details that might otherwise go unnoticed. Reading directly from their website, they say Tiny Art Show is a community art project that installs miniature art shows in unexpected places every month. Their goal is to make viewing and owning original art more accessible and more fun. Tiny Art Show is made up of a tiny team of 2 women. They fundraise or raise money so that they can put on these tiny art shows for communities so people can come together and enjoy all of the tiny art that this team of artists created. It's really awesome that they do that so people can engage and interact with all the tiny art. So they are doing this so that people in different cities or towns can come together and get to really experience a tiny art show, which is something that we're not used to. We're used to going to big museums where we look at big masterpieces of art, and we think that we have to make big masterpieces of art too. And I love making big masterpieces, but boy, tiny ones are really fun to make as well. So today we are going to have a chance to start our very own tiny art show at our school. Our tiny art show is going to start with just simple materials like a piece of paper and a pencil, maybe some Sharpies, maybe some color, and even little magnifying glasses. You are going to be able to use these materials to make your tiny art and make our own tiny art show so that everybody in the school can experience it. Now, not everybody will be making a piece of tiny art. Only the oldest and most experienced kids at the school. So that means that the little ones, just like these little ones here, are going to have such a great time looking at them close up. They are not going to be able to believe the things that they can see with a magnifying glass when they look at your art. But that requires you to make the art and make it so that it is detailed and interesting as possible. But first, I want to share a little bit of background story. I just found one of my books from when I was your age in elementary school. This was one of my favorite books when I would create on my own at home. I loved this book and would create itty-bitty pieces of art that I would create entire rooms or birthday parties or whatever it was. I loved making tiny things. Now today, we're just going to start out with one piece of paper. Now you're going to have some Sharpies, some pencils, and maybe some materials to color as well. Remember that all the materials on your table are brand new today. You're the first to use them, so make sure that you treat them very kindly. Everybody will have a sticky note and a magnifying glass. Please choose only one Post-it note to start out with of any color that's on your table from your bin. You'll need a pencil, maybe a Sharpie, and that magnifying glass just for fun. Now, we always start out by writing our name and class code on the back of our papers. We want to write that in pencil. You want to write in pencil because if you use Sharpie, it will bleed through. Your class code is your grade number and the first letter of your teacher's name. So if you're in 5th grade, it's a 5. If you're in 4th grade, it's a 4. If you're in 3rd grade, it's a 3, followed by the first letter of your teacher's last name. Then you can turn it over and begin making your art. You can make anything you want for this tiny art show for the school to see. It could be a self-portrait, it could be a family portrait, it could just be some lines, designs, and patterns. If you remember doing Zentangles last year, it could just be something where you break up the space and do different patterns in each of those broken up spaces. If you can't think of what to do and you're a little bit stuck, that's okay. That happens sometimes. But what I do not want to see anybody do is starting out with a Sharpie and then deciding that they don't like what they drew because they say they made a mistake. Crumple it up. Oh my gosh, do not throw that paper out. No way. There is no such things as mistakes in art, only happy accidents. If I see anybody that throws their paper away, you will be getting that back out of the trash and turning it into a happy accident. And yeah, it's a little crumpled up, but that's okay. This sad monster is going to be a tiny masterpiece. So please make sure that if you think you're going to need to erase, start with a pencil first, and then you can outline in Sharpie. But I do not like wasting paper in here, and I'd be happy to let you make as many as you want as long as you finish one masterpiece at a time. If you're stuck, you can always use a sketchbook stick available at the Makerspace to get some ideas. Just make sure that you always put them back and you just draw one at a time. They say different ideas that are silly, draw yourself in 20 years, draw a monster, whatever it is. Make sure that you are thinking of your best ideas right now of what you might draw on your tiny masterpiece. If you're not sure though, don't worry, I've got plenty for you. Now, step number 1, again, let's review. Choose one Post-it, not 2, not 3, not 100, just one Post-it to start out with. Then write your name and class code in Sharpie. No, not Sharpie. As you can see, Post-it notes are very thin. They are very small as well, so please make sure that you write your name in pencil, not a Sharpie. It bleeds through. That's not good. It always bleeds through, so never do that. Always write it in pencil on the back. And besides, we start with pencil first anyways. So I highly recommend starting with a pencil. Sketch out what you're going to draw just in case you change your mind. You can always erase it. Draw light until you get it right. That way you can erase. If you press too hard with the pencil, sometimes that's even hard to erase as well. When you're done, you can outline it with a Sharpie marker. Then you can add color or anything you want, as long as it's school appropriate. We will not be displaying anything inappropriate in our tiny art show. So please make sure to keep it positive. You can also write quotes in a creative and artistic way, as long as they are positive. So we're not writing anything negative, anything mean, only things that are positive and, make us happy. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a donut because, well, I really like donuts, and I'm also going to keep it positive and write, "Donut give up, keep on trying," which is what I want you to do if you think you make a mistake. Just keep going. Then you can always outline it in Sharpie and then erase any marks that you didn't like. Then you can add color or whatever you would like. If you're not happy with this one, just know that if you finish, you can make another one. It's all right. They're tiny. I know that you can do them fast, but I also want them to be mini masterpieces. The more detail you have on your Post-it, the more interesting it's going to be for somebody to take a magnifying glass and look at it. Think of it as a challenge to create as much detail, tiny detail as possible for somebody to find with a magnifying glass. Don't forget that when you're finished, artists always sign their artwork in the bottom right corner or wherever they find room. So don't forget that you're going to write your name and class code on the back with pencil, but that's just so I can give it back to you and know where to find you. But you also want your peers and your classmates and other teachers and people at the school to know who made it. Well, maybe you don't. If you don't want them to know, you just have to have your name on the back for me to be able to know who did it to give you a grade for it. Otherwise, if you do want them to know when it's hanging in our tiny art show in the hallway, you're gonna want to sign your name in that bottom right corner when you're done. Think of all different things that you could do. It could be anything you want. Anything that you find yourself that you're really proud of drawing, maybe your favorite game, maybe what you did this summer. It could just be your favorite colors, your favorite patterns, your favorite toy, your favorite foods, anything. Now just know that if you decide to start out with markers or crayons or anything that's not erasable, that you have to keep on going. We cannot give up and start a new one just because we think we made a mistake. See, I decided I didn't like those paint splatters. They looked a little funny and I wasn't too proud of them. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a happy accident by going over top of it with different colors. Now I'm making it into something that I really do enjoy creating and I really do like. But I didn't have to give up and waste my time and waste the paper and throw it away and start over. Because not only is that wasteful of time and resources, but it also is just giving up, and we don't want to give up, so keep on trying. I'm going to go ahead and when I'm finished, maybe even add a quote to this if I think I want to. Remember, keep it positive if you are going to do words. Make sure it's legible as well. Just make sure it's school appropriate and always clean up after yourself whenever you are finished with an art supply. That means putting the caps back on markers, making sure your area is wiped and clean, your hands are clean with an art wipe, and always throwing away any trash like used art wipes. When you're finished cleaning, you can take your sticky note and come on up to our tiny art show gallery and stick your sticky note right on that board. Just make sure to clean up, and I can't wait to see what you create, artists.